1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys. I'm James Hake of the Hake Report, and I'm coming on this show right off the heels of a fire Jesse Lee Peterson show. Thursday, May, 30th, 2019. And I'm streaming live on Jesse's channel on YouTube, as well as Jesse Lee Peterson Facebook page. Follow that page. It's an excellent page, the Jesse Lee Peterson Show Facebook page. Periscope, Jesse on Periscope, and Jesse Lee Peterson on dlive.tv/Jesse Lee Peterson. You can follow me on my show Sundays on my channels, Sundays on my channels, which is the Hake Report on YouTube and Facebook and Periscope, and also DLive, the Hake Report. It's fun. It's very fun. 9 a.m. Pacific time Sundays. So I just have some points for you guys. And I will get to your calls. We have some calls from my show. You can call in 888-775-3773. But I have a few points for you, and we can talk a little bit about what just happened, because we had an interesting interview with a homosexual pastor guy down in San Diego. He came back on the show. So that was interesting. But Robert Mueller had a little press conference, unannounced, he announced it the morning of, and then he went and had his press conference. It was really boring. I didn't even watch it, but he's a snake, total snake. He was talking about what did he say? We did not. Here's the quote: "If we had confidence that the president did not commit a crime, we would have said so." Like I said, what a loser. And the reason I call him a loser is because he's appealing to guilty until proven innocent. Just like Black Lives Matter did. Just like all the liberals. I don't know if Robert Mueller is a liberal. If he's a Republican, he's a rhino. But yeah, he's a total snake, just like James Comey. James Comey was the former head of the FBI, very disgraced. He was, I remember the media talking about James Comey's a straight arrow, and he is just not partisan, stuff like that. Same thing they were saying about Robert Mueller, and it turns out they're both weasels and cowards with fake class. And that's why the media loved them, because they're fake. They love fake people. They loved Obama, really phony person. And so this brings me to Trump, who's a real person. Trump is under attack by the Democrats, including Pete Buttigieg, the mayor Pete Buttigieg. And then I will get to your calls. I appreciate you guys calling in. Pete Buttigieg and some other veteran Democrat are attacking Trump for his bone spurs that he had back as a young man that disqualified him for military service. In the military, we used to have high standards. We didn't let in homosexuals. We didn't even let in people with cleft palates and hair lips. Jesse Lee Peterson was disqualified from military service. He wanted to join the military, but he was not allowed to because he had that cleft palate thing going on. So we used to have high standards, and Jesse Lee Peterson is just a couple of years younger than President Trump, who's, I think, 72. So they had high standards in Trump's time. But Pete Buttigieg suggests, without evidence, that Trump fabricated the disability in order to dodge the Vietnam War draft. And all these people are posturing as though they care about Trump's lack of service in the military, calling him a draft dodger and stuff like that. They have no proof of it, but they're claiming it. And they're assuming that he's guilty until proven innocent. Just like with this Russia thing, just like there was no collusion, by the way, but they somehow think he obstructed tried to obstruct but failed to obstruct, almost obstructed because he wanted to fire Mueller, which he should have, honestly. But I don't mind that he didn't. It just showed what a snake Mueller is. Trump kind of lets people expose themselves, and they really expose themselves. So anyways, does anybody, if you really care about this bone Spurs thing, this alleged draft dodging, this accusation, this smear against President Trump, if you're falling for it, or if you care whether it's true or not, then you can call in, because I care what people are today. Today, Mayor Pete is gay. I don't care what he did in the past. He's gay today, and he's a Democrat. These attackers are Democrats. And the Democrats are the scum of the earth, the scums of the earth, as Jesse Lee Peterson says. And Trump has genuine love for the military and for America. It's very clear. So that's that. He's fair to the world. And Trump, here's another thing about today. Trump used to be pro-abortion. Mayor Pete today, as a Christian, is very pro-abortion to the point where the women can commit abortion, kill the child in the womb at any point up until the day of delivery. He's a kiss up to the woman, total failure. And I have more on this abortion stuff. I reported some crazy news about abortion. Gucci, the probably pro-homosexual brand that had Harry Styles dressed in all that see-through black lace. Harry Styles being a British singer, 25-year-old, apparently a beta male, pretty boy, dressing up like a woman. And there was other people that were dressed up like women in Gucci clothing. Well, Gucci had some my body, my choice clothing and pro-abortion crap. And so I'm going to cover that again because I mentioned it in the first hour, I think it was today, of Jesse's show. But I want to cover it again a little bit more because it's so gross, speaking of pro-abortion nonsense. But let me get to some callers. Michael, first-time caller out of Mexico. Michael, how are you, sir?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey.
Doing great, man. Thank you for having me on. I love what you and Jesse are doing, and I really appreciate you and your hard work. I know you also produced the church YouTube series, and
yeah,
it's great. You guys are doing great stuff. I'm going to send you a tweet right now.
Okay, cool. Are you Mexican or are you white down in Mexico?
So I'm...
Or American?
I'm an American, but my mother is Mexican.
Okay.
And so her and my stepfather live in Mexico, so I'm currently with them.
Okay, cool. Are you going to come to the men's conference?
Yes, man. That's what I was just calling just to say I'm looking forward to going to the men's conference, and I was wondering if you're going to be there.
Yeah, I will be there.
Oh, sick.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm going to reach out to you again. My name's Michael. I'll shake your hand. I'm bringing my dad with me, and I look forward to meeting you and meeting Jesse as well.
Nice. Your stepdad or your real dad?
Great. That's my real father, my biological father.
Okay.
I returned to him after I forgave my mother and forgave him. It was awesome.
That is nice. Jesse Lee Peterson is making Mexico great again. There was this caller a year ago.
Dude, the new president that was just inaugurated in Mexico,
yeah,
he actually likes Trump.
Nice.
He actually likes Trump.
That's cool.
Yeah, and they call him, here in Mexico, they call him the Mexican Trump.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. Things are changing. God is doing great, amazing work. And, again, I appreciate what you do, James. And I love the Hake Report. And
cool.
I'm going to send you a tweet right now. My Twitter handle is @God'sPlan1989. So
okay.
I look forward to meeting you. I look forward to meeting Jesse. And I look forward to watching you guys grow as I grow, too, together.
Nice, Michael. Appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. Have a great day. God bless you, James. And I'll see you soon, man. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay, cool. Take care.
All right, brother. Later.
Bye. That's right. The men's conference is coming up in it's 2.5 weeks coming up. 2.5 weeks from now. So 2 weeks from Saturday. This Saturday is the 1st of June. And it'll be June 15th, Saturday, June 15th, the day before Father's Day. Isn't that nice? And there was a caller, Ignacio from Mexico, who's called in a few times onto my show because I guess he works during the week and can't call in during the week. And he's called into my show talking about, he was deported, actually. He was here illegally with his mother and sisters or something. And he got pulled over one too many times, got deported. And it was tough, but it was the best thing for him. And he returned to his father, who was down in Mexico. Talk about breaking up families, huh? There's illegal immigration is breaking up families. Open borders breaking up families. And allowing people to die because people are dying while crossing the border because we don't have a wall. We need a wall. John, out of Tennessee. John, how are you, sir?
That's James. Is this you?
Yeah, this is me.
Hey, what's up, James?
Hey, good to hear from you.
I want to give you a quick thank you for all the stuff y'all have done.
Cool. You're
I
welcome.
actually talked to Jesse a little bit ago. I've called a lot of times, but first time caller
Nice.
on your show. But,
Sweet.
what
Are you coming to the men's conference?
I wish I could, but I got kids. I got things to do, man.
Okay.
I can't.
All right. Well,
but,
that's all right. You can join via church. You can join us via church the next morning on Father's
I
Day.
listen to church every week, man, and my kids do too.
That's cool, man. That is really nice. Isn't technology great? It's a two-edged sword, but it's great.
It is, man. Honestly, I probably never would have found y'all.
Yeah.
Because I'm like out in the country in Tennessee. I don't,
Right.
just I think it happened for a reason.
Yep.
But honestly, I called originally Jesse's show because I had this comic from like 1963, and I flipped to the back ad on it. Actually, somebody else pointed out to me, but they were selling this serum to basically make you not a man. They were saying manliness was a disease.
Wow. In 1960s?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, let me read the main little bottom. Male pattern behavior is the cause of the great majority of causes of madness and excessive mind loss, for which neither the warp treatment nor any other treatment is effective. And that's the name of this serum. It's called Warp.
Warp? Yeah, that is warped. That is that sounds like communism.
Severely warped. That's actually what I was trying to get through the Jesse show about, but he connected me with that Brandon dude, and I had so many qualms with him that I couldn't even bring up the comic.
Yeah. I understand. Well, that is wild. Take a picture, or have your kids take a picture of it if you don't know how, but take a picture of it and send it to us. That's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
All right. Appreciate that, John. Man, that is brutal. They've been attacking us since I think it's actually been the last 100 years, maybe more, that they've been since the early 1900s.
100% on that, James.
Yeah.
And you know what? I really respect your political views, James. You really have paid attention to this stuff over a longer time. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 33.
Okay. Wow.
And I feel like you really got a handle on this stuff. Like most people my age, they have no concept of what's going on in the world today.
I would never have guessed that you were 33 years old only. You sound like a grown man. I mean, 33 is supposed to be a grown man, but nowadays 33-year-olds don't sound.
No, I know. Sadly, I'm a millennial, but I don't.
But you have kids already? You have white babies?
Yeah.
Nice. Right on.
I actually only had one child, and I had it in wedlock.
Okay. Cool.
Wife had a miscarriage before, but we got divorced. I got custody of her, gave up everything basically to have custody of her because I knew it was important.
Yeah.
Even before I found Jesse or any of his, even the mother thing, I kind of figured that out before. And that's why I know he's on track.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
He really figured something out there.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Me too. I like grew up kind of going to my mother, not being comfortable around my father. So I was like I would, what is it called when you go to your mother like for advice or whatever? I would do that, or to vent or whatever. And then later, like I would think about it, I'm like, wait a minute, because I noticed my older brother, the middle brother, really respected my dad, and he would go to him for advice. I'm like, and although even though I didn't really like my brother at the time, brothers don't like each other a lot of the time. I really respected that about my brother. I'm like, that is interesting. I should do that. So like, I guess it was around college, maybe even after college a little bit, but it was in the middle of college, I started going to my dad for stuff as opposed to my mother. So I had kind of caught on, and then looking at churches, I had noticed that the women are leading, and I noticed that girls tend to be all well-adjusted, at least in appearance, in outward appearance, and while the boys seem subdued very very frequently, especially in like Christian homes and just in general.
Yeah.
So the boys tend to be shy and kind of broken down. And the girls are actually not as well adjusted as they pretend to be, but they can at least pretend it better than the boys. But I just noticed that it was like not even set apart from the cultural attack on men and women, really. It's like a spiritual oppression that happens just inside of family dynamics. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, John.
Dynamics are screwed up.
Say that again?
Most families are screwed up.
Yeah, and that's why the culture can seep in.
I don't admit this normally to people, but my dad was a Southern Baptist preacher, and like he died of AIDS when I was 8 years old because he was a homosexual, like on the side.
Yeah, secretly.
Like screwed me up tremendously.
Yeah, I would think so for sure. That would have to mess with your mind. Same thing with O.J. Simpson's dad. I read in Jesse Lee Peterson's book, The Antidote, Healing America from the Poison of Hate, Blame, and Victimhood. O.J. Simpson's went through the same thing. When he was 5, I think, his father left the house, went to live in the such and such district in San Fran, in Frisco, and just turned into like a drag queen, homosexual drag queen, and he died of AIDS. Later in OJ's life.
Like they told me it was pneumonia when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But as I got older,
man,
I figured things out. But
that's got to play on someone's mind until you realize that, like what Jesse says, these people can't help it. Like your parents can't help it.
Yeah.
Everybody's in the fallen state.
Yeah, they were doing the best they could.
Man, you were close with him before?
What, my parents?
Your dad? Yeah.
Not really. I mean, honestly, I stayed with my grandparents most of the time.
Were they together growing up?
Were my parents together?
Yeah,
they were always together until he passed. Yeah.
Wow. Man, what a story. Well, I appreciate it, John. Take care. By the way, you do the silent prayer that Jesse recommends everybody do?
Yeah, I do it every morning, every night.
How'd you find Jesse?
Actually, honestly, it was through a get a job.
Okay, nice. Get a job. He does good work.
I've been listening to him for a long time. I listen to his podcast every day. I actually listen to you.
Cool.
Because you come on Wednesdays.
Right. Thursdays.
Afterwards, and
yeah.
And honestly, you should come Sunday. You should just come on after church, man. That would be more beneficial to you, I think.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
A lot of people tune in to church,
right?
And you should just
jump on stage.
Scroll it in after that,
yeah.
Because people just sometimes they set their phone down. They're just listening on a speaker,
right? Interesting. Well, I appreciate the tips, John, and thank you for the support. And man, what an interesting life, huh?
Hey, God bless. And I'll send a picture of that to you.
Okay, cool. Take care, John.
All right, James. Take it easy and have a good day.
You too. Bye. Scott out of Colorado. Scott, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, James. How are you doing?
Doing fine.
Excellent. Oh, what a busy news cycle that we're in.
I know, it's crazy, huh?
Yeah, I tried to mention to Jesse the other day, but I was off topic about the whole $20 bill being changed over.
Right. Yeah, so I actually reported on this years back. It's been so long that I forgot about it. I hadn't really heard about it. But they're trying to put a woman on the $20 bill, right? Harriet Tubman, most I guess they settled on. And Harriet Tubman was a black woman who was helping the slaves escape. She was like the leader of the Underground Railroad. And they're trying to get rid of Andrew Jackson because the liberals are now claiming that Andrew Jackson, who I believe is the father of the Democrat Party, I could be wrong, but Andrew Jackson, they're calling him a racist and genocider and stuff like that. They're just trashing Andrew Jackson. Whereas I don't know if he was really that bad of a person. He was probably the best Democrat that existed because the rest of the Democrats are nasty today. They're evil. But I don't even know much about Jackson.
Andrew Jackson is one of our founding fathers, and if people don't know about him, they should learn about American history. He fought the banks. He was the one to be vehement about fighting the bank's control of the United States.
Yeah.
And as president, that was his focus. The banks are nothing but a control over our moneyed interest. And the Federal Reserve, as we all know, is not a federal institution.
Right.
And he knew this. And the Bank of England had always tried to get its tentacles of control into us, and they have now. And that's why we have the Federal Reserve and corrupt politicians and lawyers running our country.
Man, what a mess.
It is a mess. And Harriet Tubman's great for our history, but he is on the $20 bill because he is a part of our history.
Yeah.
Let's make up another dollar bill. Let's make up a 50-cent bill and give it to Harriet Tubman. But, I mean, to take Andrew Jackson off for her, that's a shame, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see them, this Harriet Tubman thing. She may have been a nice person, may have been a heroic figure, I guess, for helping slaves run away. But that's so small in comparison to these people that were presidents, or, you know, like what you said, founding fathers. They had Ben Franklin on one of the bills. But yeah, what a mess. It's just political correctness. It's hatred of men. It's hatred of whites. They're trying to change and cover up history. It's just, to me, it's no different from them trying to take down statues of General Lee, who is a better man than anybody who's trying to take him down. So they're basically anti-American, really.
It really is. We have been a white, male, Christian-dominated culture since inception.
Yeah.
These men were cultured men. They spoke several languages. They understood tyranny. They understood class positioning, and they did away with that. And it's a shame that there hasn't been another country that lock, stock, and barrel copied our way of life. But, you know, that makes us unique.
Yeah.
The European Union, France, all of them, they can have their problems. I'll happily accept ours.
Yeah.
We're not a racist country.
No, it's not even a concern. Just who cares? Let them call you whatever they want. I appreciate it, Scott.
Certainly. See you at the men's conference.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Likewise.
Take care. I'm going to get to the rest of the callers, but I want to mention something. By the way, shout out to D Live. Thank you guys for the Diamonds, Ice Cream, and Lemons. Shout out to Done No Anger, Too Nasty, CLC, Super Dave, Hey Zeus, Dark Side of the Bear, and Floshinsky. And all of you guys. That's very nice. And of course, shout out to YouTube. And I think that we have had one super chat since I started. Giovanni A. Hake, keep up the great work spreading truth. Thank you, Giovanni A. Appreciate it. And of course, thank you guys to Periscope and Facebook. I'm trying to peek at all your comments as I go. So, and before I get to James from Nebraska, James, hang tight one moment. I want to repeat this news about that I got from Drudge. Gucci steps into the abortion debate. Gucci had that British singer Harry Styles, I mentioned him, white 25-year-old beta male, wearing black see-through lace like a woman. AP reports, Associated Press says, Gucci's creative director, Alessandro Michel, showing off to a VIP crowd Tuesday evening in Rome's Capitolone Museum, featured a purple jacket with the date, purple jacket with the slogan, "My body, my choice," on the back, and a sweater emblazoned with the date, May 22nd, 1978, marking the day that abortion became so-called legal in Italy. A belted gown was embroidered with a flowering uterus. Disgusting. Michel said, new restrictions on abortion in the U.S., quote, made me consider how much women should be highly respected. Sometimes in life, choices are difficult, but I believe that it is the most difficult decision for a woman. I respect that decision. I respect that decision as I respect the idea that the uterus is a garden, Michel told reporters after the show, which is bizarre. He's a freak weirdo. He said, I want to portray the idea that to interrupt a pregnancy, is a nice euphemism for killing a baby, does not wipe out the garden, the flower, and the idea is the uterus, and that is the uterus of every woman, the garden, the flower. This man is 46, 47 years old, as I pointed out, and Italian. Gross. Terrible. And so these people are so disgusting. By the way, he mentioned the interrupt a pregnancy. Interrupting a pregnancy, there is a ABC link that Jesse has interviewed. This Dr. Joel Brind, Dr. Joel Brind. It's spelled like Joel's name, but it's Joel. And Brind. And he says that there is an ABC link, abortion breast cancer link. When you interrupt the process of a pregnancy, you come out with all kinds of craziness that goes on because it wreaks havoc on the woman's body because it's supposed to process through an entire pregnancy and having kids and feeding the kids and stuff. So in some cases, it is heavily correlated with breast cancer. Abortion may cause breast cancer, according to this man. So, but they don't tell you about that. They don't tell you about the trauma that these women go through. Jesse's told you guys stories of women who are just plagued with guilt. They just lost their minds after crazy abortion experiences. And they're lied to by these people that pretend to care about women. But they don't. They don't respect women. Anyway, you're not supposed to respect women. You're supposed to respect men. You're supposed to love women. According to the Bible, wives should respect their husbands. Husbands love the wives. They have it backwards. So anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest. And also, Disney CEO, another beta male, according to Drudge, Bob Iger, says it will be very difficult to work in Georgia after Georgia's anti-abortion law, if that new abortion law comes into effect. And he's a loser. So they said they filmed Black Panther and Avengers Endgame in Georgia. That's Disney. Another kiss up. Disney is not family friendly. Disney is anti-human scum. So it's a mess. And there are some pro-life Democrats. They're really dumb because they support the LGBTQ stuff and they believe in the racism crap and all that, but at least they're pro-life. There used to be a lot of pro-life Democrats. There's still some in the deep South. And one of them drafted that fetal heartbeat abortion bill in Louisiana. Louisiana has the only Democrat governor, John Bel Edwards, who said that he will sign this bill because he's pro-life as well. And State Senator John Milkovich, a Shreveport Democrat who pushed for abortion restrictions, brought this legislation of a heartbeat bill. Once there's a heartbeat in the baby, no abortion. They should say conception, but they pushed it to heartbeat. So there you have it. And there's no exceptions for so-called rape and incest. No exceptions. That doesn't mean you get to kill the child just because there may have been an alleged rape or there was incest. Those are not excuses for abortions. So that's good. But so here's an example of Edwards, this pro-life Democrat. He's at odds with his party nationally because his party nationally wants abortion all the way up to the day of birth. But he said shortly after the vote that he ran as a pro-life candidate in 2015 and believes pro-life means more than just being pro-birth. So he falls for that crap. He pointed to Medicaid expansion, giving free stuff, criminal justice reforms, which is letting the criminals out of jail and prison, and LGBTQ discrimination protections, which is a violation of the First Amendment right of free association and right to contract, that he has supported since taking office in 2016. And Edwards is running for re-election this year. So he may trick the Republicans into letting him win again. Hopefully a Republican governor wins in Louisiana. Winston I was just about to get to that caller that I mentioned, and then he hung up. Winston out of Michigan, first-time caller. How you doing, Winston?
Okay, you know what? I'll be perfectly honest with you.
All right.
I called into the Jesse Lee Peterson show.
Peterson.
Yeah, man, and it hung
Hey,
up.
Winston. Peterson.
Yes, sir.
Peterson show. Jesse Lee Peterson show.
Peterson. That's true. Peterson.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was called in to talk about marriage and how that thing is actually formed.
How that thing being marriage?
Paperwork.
Hello?
Pardon me?
You're talking about when you said marriage and how that thing is actually formed? Are you talking about the baby being formed or the marriage being formed?
No, I was talking about the marriage of a man and a woman.
Okay, cool.
Not to deal with children. Excuse me. But yeah, a lot of people under the impression that marriage has something to do with some paperwork that you fill out.
Yeah.
And that's how you become married.
Uh-huh.
And that is the furthest thing from the truth. A marriage, in my opinion, is from God, a man, and a woman.
But there are more people involved in that because there are witnesses. There are human being witnesses to the marriage.
Well, I'll tell you what. I did go and pick up a piece of paperwork from the state of Michigan, where I'm calling in from.
All right.
So I wasn't producing bastard children.
What the?
You know, a bastard child. That's
I
where
understand
you go
what that.
in there
You mean
without
like
a marriage certificate.
Right, born out illegitimate. Use the word illegitimate. We're a family show. You don't have to say bastard. You can say illegitimate children.
Well,
so you're married and you have kids?
Oh yeah, I do have two children.
You have 2 children, all right, and you're married. Did you consider yourself married before you actually got married, according to the state?
I was married 9 years before I got a piece of paperwork from the state of Michigan that allowed for me to be if we're in an emergency room or if I had to go into a court of law, something of this nature. That's why I picked up a marriage certificate from the state of Michigan.
So what held you up? What prevented you from doing it all those 9 years?
Well, that was because I don't believe the state has the authority to actually marry anyone.
So you just disregarded it?
They didn't make my marriage. All they did was give me a little bit of piece of paperwork so I could go into a courtroom, or you know how marriage actually functions.
Yeah, so you, I don't know, there's a lot of people like this that I come across that I've, heard on Jesse's show in church and everything. So you didn't want to declare it before men, huh?
Pardon me?
You didn't want to declare your marriage before men.
No, I don't think a man has the authority.
Why would you rebel against it? What's wrong with it? Why would you rebel against that?
Well, it's because when they put in a marriage certificate, what happened was the entire marriage disintegrated. Like, for example,
your marriage disintegrated?
No. I didn't say my marriage did anything of that nature.
Uh-huh.
But the people that get married through the state, their marriage disintegrated.
But you eventually got married through the state, so has your marriage disintegrated?
Oh, no. My marriage is very solid, sir.
But you are married through the state now, right? 9 years,
Yes, I do
7 to
have
9 years later.
certificates for it, too.
All right. So then that was your concern that your marriage might disintegrate?
No.
Or was
my
it a
concern was if I got married like most of the people I know, then my marriage would disintegrate.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So you were concerned about that, but now you're not concerned, right? Because you've done it and nothing has happened.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Only thing that happened when I got married through the state of Michigan, it cost me $20 to get the paperwork for it. That's all.
Not bad, huh?
Nothing else changed, though.
Right on.
And I do have 2 children. They do very well. You know?
So it was kind of foolish then to hold it off that long, because $20 7 years ago, $20 was cheaper 7 years ago, or maybe it was.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know.
I will tell you one thing. Not
And then
living
you weren't
with a woman before you marry her is probably not a great idea.
Probably not.
Probably not. I'm not talking about having sex. I'm just talking about you need to live with a woman if you want to get married to understand how the woman behaves.
No, you don't.
What does that mean?
You said you need to live with the woman before you get married to understand how the woman behaves?
Absolutely.
That's insane. You're black.
Why not? Pardon me?
I said you're black.
Oh, what gave it away? My complexion?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I tell you what.
But that's nutty, man. Yeah, that's crazy. How come you're preaching this stuff?
Preaching what?
You're coming in and you're coming onto the show to preach. Don't get married by the state because it'll disintegrate your marriage potentially, and you got to live with the woman before you get married. Why are you coming in to preach this stuff? This nonsense.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. I wasn't preaching anything.
You weren't aware that you were.
Living with a woman before you marry her has nothing to do. For example, before I got married to my wife, we had separate bedrooms.
Speed up, man.
Well, yeah, I'm just telling you.
You're so dramatic. All right, Winston. I'm getting a little tired.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Because that's nutty. You shouldn't be promoting this stuff. It's really nonsense.
I'm not promoting anything, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, you're promoting living together before getting married, but not having sex, I guess. But yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy talk.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I'll put this out there for everybody that's listening.
All right.
Having sex before marriage is a bad idea.
It's not just a bad idea, it's wrong.
But living with someone is nothing wrong with that. And especially if you want to marry a woman, you need to at least be able to understand how women, especially
Cuckoo.
function.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up, Winston, and my hands are over here. I'm not breaking you up. But that's cuckoo.
All right.
That is crazy. You coming to the men's conference? You coming to the men's conference, Winston?
No, I'm not coming to the men's conference, but I'll tell you what. I did donate some money to the men's conference.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man. How'd you find Jesse? How'd you find Jesse?
You know what? When President Trump was getting ready to come into office, I ran across Jesse.
Right on.
And he's one of the few black conservatives that doesn't have a problem saying what he believes. And I really liked it.
Are you a black conservative too, or no?
No, I'm just a regular American.
All right.
I don't like to call myself black or anything like that because that's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
I've never met a black person.
No, that's not nonsense. No, it's quite sane to call people black.
Well,
everybody knows what you mean.
You can call me black. I don't mind.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Winston. Nice to talk with you.
All right. Nice speaking with you as well.
All right. Take care. Call again. Bye. So, yeah, that's crazy. I a lot of people are falling for that stuff. It's so ridiculous. And he doesn't. I forgot to ask him how old he was. I should have asked him that. Yeah, there's this rebellion against the state that goes a little extreme, in my opinion. This whole don't fall for the marriage thing. Jesse, unknowingly, convinced a man. He wasn't trying to convince him, but to get married up north in Northern California. Maybe not quite Northern California, but up north. This man believed in living together with his woman. And he just thought, oh, we don't have to get married by this. I don't believe in the government stuff. But then Jesse said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. And that was like, oh, that made a lot of sense to this man. And this man was like that. Kind of, he believed in that kooky idea of live together with the woman and not get married. And then he realized, oh, that's not actually common sense. And so he got married, and Jesse married him. 3-minute thing, real fast, nice. 3-minute service. So it was really cool too, and it's a very nice service, beautiful. Witnesses there, a young man who used to be an anti-Trump liberal, whom this guy red-pilled, was there with his girlfriend. He doesn't live with his girlfriend either. So that's very nice, and that's the way to do it. There's this anti-traditional thing or anti-government thing. I think a lot of libertarians have these kooky ideas. It's weird. But so I have that. I have a little bit more for you about these people that are wise in their own eyes. But let me get to Skip before I run out of time. Skip out of Augusta, Georgia. How are you doing?
Hey, James. Good to talk to you.
Good to hear from you.
Hey, look at here. This marriage certificate stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a fact. You can look it up. You know why they did this marriage certificate thing?
Nope.
Because of interracial marriage. To do away with interracial marriage, you had to get a marriage certificate.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day, you couldn't interracially marry.
Right. They were trying to. Okay. Interesting.
So
yeah, that was early on. Huh?
You can get married without a certificate, and you can call it legal or not. But as long as you get married before a preacher, you don't have to have a certificate by the government to become husband and wife.
But then you're setting yourself up for problems potentially.
How you setting yourself up? You're standing before a man of God preaching, marrying you, but you just don't have a certificate from the government saying that you're married. Now, how is that messing things up, James?
Because you could run into problems later when the government doesn't recognize your marriage, and then they don't respect it properly.
Well, why would you want the government to recognize it? Why do you want the government in anything, any part of your life?
Well, I agree with that, but the fact is the government is in our lives, and they can impose stuff on us. And if you don't force them to respect your marriage, then you're stuck. So it's just kind of like this taxation is theft, right? Taxation is a lot of these taxes that we have are unconstitutional, but you better pay them, or unless you want to go to jail. If you want to be there are people that protest taxes and they don't pay them, and they're in prison, and they're willing to do that.
I'm 53 years old, and I never paid taxes. It's not a law or a statute anywhere that says you have to pay taxes on your personal income. I'm anti-against that too.
Yeah, but they weren't going to go after you because you were homeless for a while. Why would the IRS go after you? They go after the big fish. But
just the past 2 years, but I made good money before that, James. But I never paid no taxes.
Maybe that's why you got home. But maybe that's why you got
to pay taxes. I go to jail before I pay a tax.
Interesting.
On my income. Look, James, we pay taxes every time you go to the grocery store.
Yep.
Every time you buy a tag for your.
You don't have to convince me, Skip. I agree with it, but I'm paying my taxes because I'm not going to jail.
Well,
and you know, I understand. I agree with it. It's you know, the IRS believes.
And get your marriage certificate to say you're going along with the government.
Yep.
But I'm just saying you don't. You know, that's the reason why the marriage certificate come into effect is to do away with interracial marriage.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, that's history, right? But it's kind of irrelevant to today. The fact is, the government has.
It doesn't matter to me either, but I'm just saying that is the reason why it came into effect is because of interracial marriage.
Right. Yeah, but whatever. Anyways.
I know. I'm not arguing with you, James. I'm just making a statement of fact. That's all.
I appreciate it, Skip.
You're doing a good job. And
Thank you.
I appreciate you, James.
Thank you, Skip. Take care.
All right, you too.
All right. Bye. So, real quick before I get back to Robert out of Kansas and others, they talk about how the Bible says God uses the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. I think I quoted that in a recent episode of the Hake Report. And that includes people with poor reading skills and poor grammar, people who don't remember a lot of facts, people who ask simple questions that could be construed as annoyingly simple questions. God uses those people to shame the wise. And of course, I'm making a vague reference to some of the black people here that don't necessarily read the best, but they shame the people who are wise in their own eyes by just having common sense, by clinging to the truth, and just being simple, straightforward, right versus wrong people. And it works for them. And I can't get over how this pastor, Steven Anderson, speaking of somebody who's wise in their own eyes, used that foolish questions cop-out against Jesse Lee Peterson. So Steven Anderson is the anti-gay hate preacher, so-called, that he actually admits he does hate. And Jesse asked these innocent, straightforward questions such as, if God saved you from sin, but you still sin because you listen to your flesh rather than live in the Spirit, does that mean your flesh was stronger than your spirit? And that's just a simple, straightforward question, right? That's like an innocent, childlike question. And he said, that's a foolish question. I'm not going to answer that. And that God told me not to answer foolish questions. And then later, Jesse asked him another thing about, if you sin, how can you condemn the sinner, meaning the homosexual or whatever? Or he asked other questions along those lines, because he thinks that homosexuality is a special sin, and his sins are just normal sins where he can still get into heaven. But homosexuality is a special sin, meaning they're reprobate mind and they're just totally anti-God. Never mind that sin is anti-God. And you're not supposed to continue to sin. But he ignores that. He ignores all of those Bible verses, even though he so-called believes in the Bible. And so he used that avoid foolish questions cop-out to Jesse's straightforward questions. I'm going to try that next time Jesse corners me with a piercingly pointed question. James, isn't such and such amazing? And I'll be like, avoid foolish questions. Because, imagine this guy's kids. What a nutcase. Imagine Steven Anderson's children coming to him with an innocent question. And children tend to see through fakeness. That's why the gays target the Christians and target the children. Because children just see you and they'll be like, you're ugly, or you're fat, or you're, if somebody's gay or whatever. And so they target them and try to make them believe that wrong is right. So it is with the Christians and the Christian parents who are not real Christians, but they kind of beat their children with the Bible and so-called stupid stuff. Imagine if a kid, he has 10, 12 kids, white babies, congrats. But Steven Anderson, imagine how he treats his kids if he's that impatient with a 70-year-old. Talk about disrespect for your elders. Imagine the disrespect he has for his kids. That's not good. That's trauma. So, by the way, we put out a Bond Sunday service a clip from Bond Sunday service just yesterday. From May 25th, 2008. I was there. Jesse had just turned 59 years old. And we put this out a month or so ago, but the Sunday clip from it is called Christian, so-called hypocrites, quote-unquote Christian hypocrites who still sin yet judge the gays. And this has been a theme for a long time, because there's all these Christians who think they're born again, yet they continue to sin. They still have anger and judgment and hate, And then their kids are looking at them, judging the gays and the illegal aliens and getting rageful about it. And meanwhile, the kids are getting the brunt of their anger and hypocrisy. And it's a total loss. They don't realize that they're all part of the children of the lie, along with the gays that they hate. The fake Christians are just part of the children of the lie, or at least the fallen state people. And real quick, before I get to Robert, speaking of know-it-alls who judge without understanding, I was watching live chat snobs trashing the boomers who discourage pot use. Talk about disrespect for elders. First of all, boomers invented pot smoking, basically. That's maybe a exaggeration, but they know what even the weak stuff does, because they had weak stuff, and now we have strong stuff, right? And so Jesse's argument against pot, wanting you to have a clear mind, he's consistent even with the alcohol. Somebody called into the show about is it okay to drink? And Jesse's like, don't be looking for reasons to drink, be looking for reasons not to drink. Same thing with pot. Arguing in favor of having a clear mind, that's indisputable. There's no argument against that. That's a true value. And there's no sane argument against that. There's just deflection, distraction, changing the subject, blah, blah, blah. So I just wanted to point that stuff out. Robert, out of Kansas. How are you, Robert? Good to hear from you.
Hey, Hake, thanks for the call. First of all, taxation is not theft. Taxation is slavery.
Yeah.
That's what the Civil War was all about. They didn't get it implemented till 1871, where we became a corporation. So we went from a constitutional republic where you were a free man to a corporation where now you are held as a livestock on the stock exchange. And so you're able to have, to be taxed and to be used as basically farm animals. And that's really what it is. It's a type of tax farming. It's slavery. On from that, the real key to putting everything back together, to returning power to the father, like Jesse talks about, is to make women property again. Okay? Now, that might sound pretty harsh, but what I'm getting at is that a girl should be owned by her dad and as property. And then whenever they do get that marriage to the husband, he hands her in that ceremony to the man, to the other man. And what this does for women is allows them to be protected from the inherent evils of this world by the man, because that's what a man is supposed to do. Men are designed to deal with the world, and women are designed to be the heart of humanity. Okay? And now we've taken women out of that role, put them into the workforce. Now no one's raising the kids, and they're going crazy.
I know, it's a mess.
The husband doesn't have a cooked meal or a clean home. The only reason us men build all these homes is to put a woman in it and thus a family, and that's really the key to what we have to do. It sounds harsh to say make women property again, but it is exactly the best thing for them, because then they are under the protection of the man, and it returns power to the father, where if you were to mess with his daughter, then back in the day, he was allowed to just kill you. You know what? No one messed with women. No one did anything. They were respected, and they were loved. And this whole system is designed to take that away from them, where the father is powerless, and the woman can just, hey, I'm getting a divorce, and I'm taking the kids.
How did you learn this stuff, Robert?
I'm a genius.
Really?
I'm a 200 IQ genius, and God, me and God are connected.
But where did you learn this stuff?
God.
God told you that women used to be property, and back in the day, the man could kill anybody
women
who
used to be the property of their father. And under that
you learned this
scenario,
from
they
history.
were protected, and,
Like
and,
this is history, right?
and they didn't have to deal with the evils of the world, because women are not they're not designed to deal with the world. They're designed to be within humanity, inside of it, as the core of it.
Robert, I forget. Are you coming to the men's conference?
Oh no, sir. I wish I could. Owen Benjamin's going to be there. I hope he schools Jesse on the Jew, because you guys really are missing something there.
No, I don't think we are. That brings me to my next point. Okay, let me get to my point. These Jew blamers are snakes. I'll leave you on the line for a second, Robert, just to see if you have any response. They're so fake. So, like yesterday, I don't know if you heard, but Jesse took a biblical question call. We pick up, what's your question or comment? I want to answer the biblical question. So this guy talks to Jesse about the biblical question for a second, and then all of a sudden he switches to this Jew blamer crap. And then also he isn't even voting for the Great White Hope, which is President Trump the second time. So Jesse's all beta, and that's correct. It shows how shallow and blind the Jew blamers are. Maybe not all, but most, because they don't even respect their elders. They don't realize that Trump is deeper, wiser, and more independent-minded than they are. They think that they're so independent-minded, but they're not. They are not honest, because this guy was not honest, and it's so common for them to call in snake-like like that, pretend to be your friend, and then they change up on you like that. And I'm not saying you're like this, Robert. I don't know. But what else? They don't recognize wisdom. They don't recognize truth or strength. They seek out truth, but they seek out truth on the outside and not on the inside. They don't examine themselves. They're examining everybody else and criticizing everybody else for so-called being afraid or blind to the JQ so-called thing. And then but they're not looking at themselves. And meanwhile, like, they're alienating everybody. A lot of these whites, they're understandably angry, but they don't have a right to be angry, but they're understandably angry, but they end up totally alienating everybody. And then they have nothing going on. I've seen this clown world meme floating around, pushed by anti-Trump alt-right, calling MAGA folks, people who still support President Trump, MAGA, make Israel great again. They don't realize that Trump is actually making America great again. They're so-called alt-right or alt-retard, to borrow a term from Vox Day. Honestly, the NPC one, non-playable character one, was better, with those gray faces where they don't have a face because they don't think for themselves. That was a meme by the 4chan people. That was a better meme than this clown world thing. It's not that funny. If it was short-lived. Many of them think that Trump is a clown and puppet, showing that they're blind. This, in fact, shows that they're controlled opposition. Anyone who is angry is controlled opposition. As Jesse says, you can't control people unless you can get them angry or emotional, either angry or happy or sad or whatever. Then you control them, and they're blind. They don't realize that they're the useful idiots just as much as the neocon useful idiots, just as much as the rhino useful idiots, just as much as the communist useful idiots, and everybody. They think that it's like controllers. They think that everybody else is controlled, but not them. Trump has his own mind, if anyone does, in the world. If anybody in the world has their own mind, Trump does. Maybe it's really more like God's mind, because I think we are all NPCs for Christ or Satan. And so I suspect that, because we're either serving good or evil. I agree with Jesse on that and with the Bible on that. So this comes back to these people being wise in their own eyes, being put to shame. You really think you're wiser than Jesse or Trump? It's just blind arrogance. So that's my take on the Jew blamer stuff. They miss the Jesse's deeper, very basic, easy to understand point of don't be angry, look at yourself. You may be right about some of this stuff, or maybe a lot of it, but the anger blinds you and makes you believe things that aren't true. Like Trump is controlled or Jesse's controlled or whatever. So it's just a mess. And whites are weak, angry, broken down. No wonder the POCs hate us, because we're no different from them. We're just better behaved and maybe higher IQ in some cases, whatever. But that middle-aged Jew hater who shot up the synagogue, and the 19-year-old Jew hater who shot up the synagogue and killed that 60-something-year-old woman, he thought he was so righteous. He thought he was a Christian. But he's a self-righteous, judgmental person. Talented, these people, many are talented, nice, until they're not nice. And they brag about whites are nice until they're not. That's not something to brag about. That's fake. Anyway, Robert, man, it's good to hear from you. Take care, man.
Thanks for the call.
All right, take care. Get it off your chest. Friday is tomorrow. We have the men's conference coming up, rebuildingtheman.com. Follow me. Go to thehakereport.com. You can find all my stuff. Thanks, guys. Take care.